谢谢宝宝，终于看到你了，
真的，我希望我这够了，把你们找来了。
A baby girl was abandoned by her parents right after birth. A foster father who collected trash raised her, but after the child grew up, he tearfully helped her search for her wealthy biological parents. What exactly happened? Wang Jingchong appeared on a family-seeking program with his teenage adopted daughter, saying he wanted to help her find her biological parents. But everyone could tell, Wang Jingchong loved his adopted daughter deeply. Why did he suddenly want to look for her biological parents? Wang Jingchong himself was a man who had suffered greatly, and it could be said that his adopted daughter was his only motivation to keep living. In his early years, Wang Jingchong's life in the countryside was very hard. He finally married a wife, but her health was never good, and they had no children. Later, his wife was diagnosed with cancer, which broke Wang Jingchong's heart. Just as he was working hard to save money for her treatment, his father passed away. Less than 4 months after his father's death, his wife also died of illness. From then on, Wang Jingchong was left completely alone in this world. Without family, he sank into deep sorrow. He lived in a daze every day, often sitting alone at home, motionless for an entire day, not eating or working. His friends couldn't bear to see him like that, so they took him from the northeast to Hainan, hoping a change of environment might lift his spirits. After arriving in Hainan, Wang Jingchong began collecting trash to make a living. Although life was tough, he didn't care much about food or comfort. He could manage on his own. While in Hainan, he even met a woman from the northeast. This lady was also a person who had suffered much in life. After sharing their hardships, the two developed feelings for each other and decided to live together. At that time, Wang Jingchong was already nearly 50 years old, yet fate gave him an unexpected gift at that very time. One day, while Wang Jingchong was wandering outside, a strange man asked him if he wanted a child. That question startled Wang Jingchong. The man quickly explained that his relatives were poor and couldn't afford to raise a baby girl, so they were looking for someone to take her in. Seeing that Wang Jingchong looked kind, he approached him on their behalf. At first, Wang Jingchong didn't want to agree, but the moment he saw the baby, his heart softened. He decided to adopt the abandoned girl. He never imagined that more than 10 years later, he would personally help her find her biological parents.
只要他能自由自在地生存下去，我心里头就是得到平衡了。不舍得也得舍得。
A baby girl was abandoned by her parents after birth, and her foster father raised her by collecting trash. Unexpectedly, after she learned about her origins, she was determined to find her biological parents. What exactly happened? When Wang Jingchong first saw the baby girl, his heart softened. She was too thin and fragile. He also guessed that the man who stopped him, saying the baby was his relative's, was probably lying. Judging from the man's appearance, Wang Jingchong realized this might be his own child. Seeing Wang Jingchong's hesitation, the man finally told the truth. He said he and his wife were extremely poor, and keeping the child would only bring her suffering. He could see that Wang Jingchong, though not wealthy, was kind-hearted, which is why he approached him. In the end, Wang Jingchong took the baby girl home. Since he had no children of his own, he cherished this girl dearly. His partner also liked the child very much. Together, they named the girl Kuxing, and raised her with love. But this happiness didn't last long. His partner developed heart problems and was taken away by her biological son. Although Wang Jingchong and this woman were not legally married but just living together, he still missed her dearly. He decided to return to the northeast with the child. Back in his hometown, Wang Jingchong didn't know what kind of work he could do, so he continued collecting garbage and repairing tires to make money. Life was difficult, but he treated the girl very well. When the child was about 5 or 6 years old, a neighbor noticed how well-behaved Kuxing was and offered 50,000 yuan to buy her. Wang Jingchong was terrified that the girl would suffer if she went to that family, so he angrily drove them away. But at that moment, he also realized that the girl might not have a wealthy future staying with him, and he didn't know if what he was doing was truly right. Still, his love for her was beyond doubt. And Kuxing deeply cared for her father. She matured early, excelled in her studies, and was always filial. She never looked down on her foster father for being a trash collector. Instead, she followed him everywhere, helping him with his work. Seeing his daughter's kindness, Wang Jingchong was often moved to tears, believing that she was a gift from heaven. He never imagined that one day, his daughter would insist on searching for her biological parents.
那你接下来准备和谁回家呢？
我还要跟着我的这个爸爸。
我这次来见面的时候，打算把叔叔跟女儿都带到深圳那边去过生活，我们养他们，就是这样子。
A baby girl was abandoned by her parents, raised by a man who survived by collecting trash. No one expected that years later, she would persuade her foster father to help her search for her birth parents, and the reunion shocked everyone. What exactly happened? Wang Jingchong worked hard to raise the child until she became a teenager. Their father-daughter bond was deep. But in 2015, Kuxing accidentally discovered her true origins. Even after learning that she was abandoned at birth, she still told her adoptive father that she wanted to find her biological parents. This made Wang Jingchong very reluctant. Aside from their strong emotional bond, he had devoted everything to her and felt he had never wronged her. Why was she so determined to search? But Wang Jingchong eventually decided to help her. After all, he was already 77 years old and didn't know how much longer he could stay with her. If he could help her find her real parents, perhaps her future would be happier. The two returned to Hainan, where he had once adopted her, to ask around, but there was no trace of her biological parents. Finally, to fulfill his daughter's wish, Wang Jingchong applied to appear on a family reunion TV program. When the father and daughter stood before the Gate of Hope, waiting for it to open, no one knew what Wang Jingchong felt inside. But when the doors opened and a couple rushed forward to embrace the girl, Wang Jingchong felt relieved. At least it showed that the couple truly wanted to acknowledge their daughter. That was enough for him.
谢谢宝宝，终于见到你们，
真的，我终于把你们找来了。
After the reunion, the emotional couple explained that their lives were now good. They admitted that they had been poor when they gave the baby to Wang Jingchong, but later, they went to Shenzhen to work hard. Now they owned a house and a car and lived comfortably. They had even returned to Hainan years earlier to look for Wang Jingchong but couldn't find him. For years, they had also been searching for their daughter, hoping to make up for their past mistakes. They promised to treat her well and give her the best life possible. Kuxing was touched by their words. But to everyone's surprise, she said she came to acknowledge them, not to leave her foster father. She said she was grateful for everything he had done, and now that she was almost grown, she would take care of him. Hearing this, Wang Jingchong was deeply moved but also understood. Perhaps she would have a better life with her biological parents. Just as Wang Jingchong was about to persuade Kuxing to go with them, her biological parents said they wanted to take him too. Not only because their daughter couldn't bear to be separated from him, but also because they were grateful for his selfless love. Only then did everyone realize that Kuxing's desire to find her parents was not out of rejection, but to give both her and her father a real family. Fortunately, Wang Jingchong's years of love and devotion were not in vain. Kuxing's biological parents understood gratitude and insisted on bringing him to Shenzhen to live with them. The father and daughter no longer had to part ways. They finally had a new home. May this family live happily ever after.
Some say blood is a bond that can never be cut off, and some say companionship is the deepest form of affection. Wang Jingchong, in his whole life, did not possess much wealth, yet with a sincere heart, he fulfilled the entire life of a child. He was not the girl's biological father, yet he did what her birth parents could not do. At the most difficult moment, he pulled a life abandoned by the world back into the light. And Kuxing, with her understanding and gratitude, showed the world what it truly means to be a real daughter. She wanted to find her birth parents not out of ingratitude, but to bring more warmth into her adoptive father's later years. This reunion was not merely about blood ties. but about humanity, conscience, and the redemption of love. Perhaps we cannot choose our birth, but we can choose how we love others. What do you think? Between the grace of upbringing and the bond of blood, which one is more precious? Feel free to share your thoughts in the comments. If you like this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe. See you next time.